breathe in that thing. Oh, shit. Wrong franchise, too.
This is God.
Don't you blame the movies! Movies don't create psychos! Movies make psychos or create a...
Because you were home.
What's going on, guys? Happy Halloween. My hair is a mess right now because I'm wearing this ghost face costume and I'm not even talking about a Scream movie. I figured I would make it now a tradition on Halloween to talk about every Halloween movie I haven't talked about. I talked about the original 2018. In the last couple of years, I talked about kills and ends, and I would rather like to forget those. This year, I finally watched all the Halloween movies all the way through for the first time. There are so many ups and downs in this series. It's crazy to me just how the quality differs from each movie. And luckily, we're going to be talking about one of the better ones, not a great one, but one of the better ones, and that is the original Halloween 2 from 1981, directed by Rick Rosenthal. The way I look at Halloween 2 is in a similar way to how I look at the second Daniel Craig Bond movie, Quantum of Solace. Is that it's just DLC or an extended cut of the previous movie that came before it. And that's really what it is. It takes place on the same night, except this time Laurie's in a hospital. Michael Myers is trying to come at her. Sam Loomis is trying to capture Michael Myers as well. And I think all the stuff with Loomis in this movie when he's in it is actually the best part. Loomis is very frantic in this movie. Donald Pleasence does a very good job playing him in this movie. He's freaking brilliant. I always love Donald Pleasence in everything I've seen him in. Just the state of mind that he has in this movie, that he knows that Michael Myers is such a menacing force of evil, pure evil, as he stated in the previous movie, and as he's stating multiple times in this movie, that has to be subdued. And that's his entire goal. His entire goal of this movie is to capture Michael. There is some crazy shit that happens in this movie. Like, there's this guy they think is Michael Myers who's walking down the street, and then all of a sudden this car rams him into an ambulance because they think it's him, and it's not really him, and they actually kill a common citizen of Haddonfield. I like that angle that the movie takes, this whole mass hysteria angle. And Halloween Kills did grab some inspiration from it because there are hints of there being a town mob going after Michael Myers in this movie. I think the idea is hammered home here more than it is in Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills doesn't really handle that all that well. The whole mob mentality thing wasn't well done. The flashbacks in Halloween Kills, amazing. But the whole mob mentality, the whole evil dies tonight thing was beyond stupid. But the seeds were planted in this movie, even though this movie isn't canon to those movies anymore. And I think it's actually done better here. It's subtle hints. If we bring Michael Myers back, where could we go? Of course, the plan was to just end the Michael Myers storyline here. And next year, when I talk about Halloween 3, we'll talk more about that. But I do like the mass hysteria. Loomis is concerned in that anytime there is somebody dressed up like Michael Myers, like that poor schmuck that got ran over by a car, you're going to assume the worst. It's just how the whole aftermath of the events of the first one play out. Laurie could possibly be losing her mind in the frantic chase by Loomis to capture Michael. It makes the finale where Loomis and Laurie team up in the hospital feel earned because you feel like there's a common goal there. Laurie just fought him in the previous movie, but she knows that this is a threat that must be taken care of. And Loomis has been on his tail since the beginning. And while having this movie take place on the same night as the original Halloween movie, while the execution may not be perfect, it is an interesting way to have a second movie in a franchise like this work out in that way. I think it at least captures some of the tone that John Carpenter set up with that first one. Other than those positives, I find Halloween 2 to be a little dull. A lot of it is just Laurie sitting in a hospital, and then she's out of the movie for periods of time. You cut back to Loomis trying to chase Michael, and then he's out of the movie for periods of time. And then there's shots of Michael just walking down like downtown Haddonfield and on Halloween night. So he blends in, which is a smart idea. Nobody's stopping him because they think it's a Halloween costume. Great idea. But he finally gets to the hospital. And when he gets to the hospital, he's going after Laurie. The kills just aren't as good. You know, there's not enough tension leading up to the kills. The kills aren't very memorable. I mean, there's that memorable one with the nurse in the hot tub where he literally burns her face alive. That's the one that sticks out in my mind to me, but all the other kills don't really amount to anything for me. They're just there for Michael Myers to kill people, be like, hey, like, it's a newer movie, let's make this more violent than the previous one, which was something I don't think Carpenter really wanted to do, but was maybe forced to do by some of the producers. Whatever it may be, it's definitely more violent than the first one, but that doesn't make it better. And I think that that's what the producers were thinking. Bigger doesn't always mean better, and that is the case with this movie. They definitely went bigger. It definitely, instead of just a secluded neighborhood in Haddonfield, we're now in a hospital, and we see other parts of Haddonfield as well. But I do miss a lot of what felt like a small budget for the first one, because it was a small budget, and just using the tools at their disposal, you could tell that there was more money put behind this movie, but it's nowhere near as well directed as the original one. John Carpenter is a masterclass with these slasher movies. So is somebody like Wes Craven. So when you look at John Carpenter, Wes Craven, anybody like that who has directed a slasher movie, Rick Rosenthal doesn't even come close. Tension's absent for most of the movie because you know Michael Myers is going to kill some people, and you know exactly when it's going to happen. Immediately, the tension is gone. He's not popping up and back at cars anymore, stabbing people or dressing up on a sheet pretending to be a boyfriend of Laurie's friend, as well as the ending. I am not big on the ending. Loomis getting burned, Michael getting burned, and him living, and it's implied that Loomis died. This was where it was supposed to end, and after this, it was supposed to be an anthology series. It didn't end up happening that way. I also think that the Halloween theme by John Carpenter is overplayed way too much in this movie. It didn't add to any of the suspense or the tension that I think the movie thinks it was trying to build up, because it would just be in the background anytime Michael Myers popped on the screen and was about to kill somebody. That really wasn't the case with the first one. Like, you would see him kill somebody, but then it would just be that, like it wasn't the Halloween theme, and I just think it was overused. At one point in this movie, I said, can we just stop with the Halloween theme? Like, it's getting tired at this point. Overusing that theme as well also takes away from the cunning cleverness that Michael has and the mystique of Michael. Now, I guess we got to talk about the one thing that everybody's hated for years, even John Carpenter himself. There's this really, really asinine plot twist that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers are actually siblings, that Laurie was adopted by the Myers family. You know what I say to that plot line? Yeah. It's dumb. Enough said. Everybody feels the same way. Everybody thinks it's really stupid. I hate the reveal of it too, how it's just Loomis is just kind of like, oh yeah, I knew that. It's like he knew. Yeah. I'm like, there was no mention of this in the first one. It's obvious that it was one of these twists, because it was the second movie. They had to do something to try and make it different from the first one. And John Carpenter, in hindsight, has literally said, he's like, nope, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever done. I wish I never did it. So I do give praise where praise is due with directors, writers, when they can admit their faults and admit their wrongs, and when they admit that they made mistakes in movies. John Carpenter did that here. Another example would be J.J. Abrams with the Star Wars trilogy. Whoa, bringing up the sequel trilogy. I know that that's kind of a hot topic on the internet, but at least J.J. Abrams acknowledged some of the mistakes he made with The Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, and he apologized. And that's exactly what John Carpenter did here, just 30, 40 years earlier. And mistakes like that, at least if you own up to it, I can sort of let it pass. But an asinine plot twist like that, though, I can't let pass. But at least John Carpenter knows it. He's not trying to defend it or anything. Halloween 2 is okay. Definitely has that like downloadable content, extended cut feeling to it. It's nowhere near as tension-filled or as good as the first one, especially with that asinine plot twist and the overuse of the Halloween theme. It's definitely one of the better Halloween movies, though. It's not my favorite sequel, but it's top 3 Halloween movies, especially when you consider what comes after. There's not much good left in this series. I'm going to give Halloween 2 a B-. So, happy Halloween, guys. Hope you enjoyed this ride on this year's Halloween Spooktacular. The most reviews I've ever done for a Halloween Spooktacular. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.